Good afternoon, everybody. Today I have the privilege to sit down and talk with Daniel Janich, who is an attorney at the Chicago office of Holifield Janich, PLLC, serving in employment benefits and compensation law. He is a frequent speaker on employee benefits and executive compensation and has given numerous presentations at conferences and trade organizations. Dan has authored high-profile legal treaties, professional journal articles, and has co-authored numerous handbooks. He has been named an Illinois Super Lawyer annually since 2007. He has earned his bachelor's degree from Marian, JD Law degree from UIC John Marshall, and Master's of Law and Taxation from DePaul University. Thank you so much for your contributions to not only just the Marian community, but employment in law and your community that you serve so well up there too. So thank you and welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity, Brandy.
It's our pleasure. I love doing these things and I love learning about all of the people, especially when they come from Marian University. So thank you for your time today.
Sure.
And we will get right into the questions. So I always like to start with, what's one word to describe how you're feeling in this moment, in today's world?
How am I feeling in today's world?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of apprehension. I mean, we're in a world in which we're facing a pandemic. We don't know when it's going to end. We really don't know the long-term effects that it will have upon us personally as well as professionally. There's a great deal of unknowns that are simply out there right now that we have to deal with and do the best that we can to plan for ourselves in an environment where how we're living in the future may not be anything like what we've experienced as normal in the past. So to answer your question in a single word would be probably apprehension.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense in this world. I don't think anything can and should be the same after this.
Yeah, I think though that when we all feel that, which is a normal response, not really being sure that we have total control over the situation, we could probably best cope by doing all that we can to make the adjustments and to plan for ourselves as much as possible, knowing that maybe our plans might not come out the way in which we expect them to entirely, but do taking responsibility for our own well-being and our personally and professionally, and do that what we can to help ourselves in this environment, rather than sitting by and letting outside forces that are certainly going to impact us just kind of blow us in all different directions in the wind. We want to have some sense of control, knowing that we may not have total control of our environment, our situation, but it's certainly not an excuse not to plan and
Mm-hmm.
do the things we need to do, both career-wise, professionally, as well as for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you for that. And so can you walk us through your career journey from what you thought you might have wanted to be when you first entered college to kind of where you're at now?
Well, I graduated from Marian in 1974. And at that particular time, it was Marian College rather than Marian University. So I've been out professionally practicing for many years. I'll give you the short version rather than the long version because of that. But my interest in law in particular, I think was kind of an outgrowth of the people that I met while I was a student at Marian. I had already decided to become a history major. I don't know if history is even offered as a major today at the university.
It is.
I was a history major, and I did not have any plans to teach, but I also knew that having that kind of a degree was not going to be the degree that I received from Marian as a Bachelor of Arts would not be a terminal degree, that I would go on either to graduate school or professional school. I had no real interest in teaching history, so graduate school did not seem like that was the very attractive option for me. I started to explore law school at that particular time, and there actually were a number of law students who were attending Indiana University, Purdue University, downtown, who were being housed, who were in the dorms at Marian at the time. And I had gotten to know them for a little bit and became friends, and really started asking questions about what drove them to be a law student, to go into the field. What did they like about it? What was their experience about being studying law, and what kind of experiences did they have outside of the classroom, such as working at a law firm or for a judge or the like. So I got to a lot of information about their experience as a student, why they wanted to go into law. That was a service industry that they felt that they could make a difference in the lives of people using their legal knowledge, and it offered a wide different range of career options for them. They didn't just have to go into private practice in a law firm. They could work for a company, they could work for a charitable organization, they could work in the business community, just as an executive officer of a company. With this kind of knowledge, it would certainly enhance their skills as a businessman. So that kind of flexibility kind of intrigued me, and that's when I first started to think about how I could use the history degree in a productive way by parlaying that into a law school application. And after I graduated from Marian, in fact, before the actual graduation ceremonies, I had made inquiries. I applied to the various law schools. I knew that I wanted to come back to the Chicago area. I had family here, a lot of connections as far as any business opportunities here, and so I returned to the Chicago area to go to a law school at University of Illinois, Chicago, John Marshall School of Law, and that was a 4-year program. Knowing the information that I acquired from my friendships at Marian, I started doing the planning process as to investigating how I wanted to, for lack of better words, resume build, how I wanted to get the experiences necessary so that after graduation from law school, I would be having enough knowledge as to how I wanted to use the degree, and also enough experience, not really being out in the business world yet, but enough experience, maybe clerking for a judge or a law firm or what have you, so that I can sell myself as hitting the ground running. And that's what I did. So graduation from law school was in 1978. I went into private practice. I actually started working in association with an insurance company, and handled a lot of trial work and did a lot of trial activity. And that was good. I enjoyed that. But the trial work that I was doing was principally in the area of personal injury, that kind of trial work. And I wanted to broaden my trial experience out a little bit. In fact, I wanted to broaden my experience in the law more. I knew that there was more to it that I can do. It was a good start. It was a good opportunity. But I decided after a few years of getting a solid trial experience that I wanted to return to law school to get a graduate law degree, and that graduate law degree was actually in tax. And the reason why I chose tax in particular was not because I had this hidden long-term desire to do tax work, because if that were the case, I would have done that from the outset, right? But what I decided to do is return to get a graduate degree in tax, because it would lead me to have more opportunities in business law. I enjoyed doing the trial work, but I wanted to, if I was going to do more trial work, I wanted to do it in the way of commercial disputes rather than simply personal injury disputes. So getting more of a background in having a tax degree would help me have an opportunity to work with the kind of firms, work with the kind of clients and the kind of businesses that I wanted to work with at that time. So I saw this opportunity to work at DePaul University in Chicago at the law school as a teaching fellow, and teach first-year students legal research and writing and appellate advocacy and all the things that I already knew from my trial experience, and also have the opportunity to go to classes and to get the degree that I was going for. This was much more attractive to me than simply trying to go to school at night and work during the day at my trial job, because there were many times where if you're on trial, it's an all-consuming task, and you could be on trial for weeks on end and preparing outside of the trial courtroom for the next day's hearings, and you're just consumed by it from morning to night. So going to school at night and doing the trial work during the day was not really a good option. Having the opportunity to do a little teaching and also then going to my own classes was much better, and I enjoyed doing that. And so I had done that for a year of a fellowship program, and I had started my classes, finished it up in about a year and a half, and then started working back in a law firm where I was actually starting to do some work in the area of employee benefits. And employee benefits has disputes. There's trial work that I now was happy that I had the opportunity to do. It was in the form of commercial litigation, and there was also other plan-related work that was available. And with the tax degree that I had, having that kind of a mix was a very attractive option for me. I enjoyed it and discovered that it's a field that's always changing. It's always has new developments. It's one that you have to keep on top of. It's challenging to be in it. Not a lot of other attorneys had a desire to be in this practice area. It was much in demand, and it was a field that I enjoyed. So given all of that, the rest of my practice, since I finished the tax degree back in, my degree was finished in 1985, 1986 period. Since then, I essentially have devoted my entire practice to the field of employee benefits and executive compensation, which is part of actually a subset of employee benefits, and also employment law. That area of representing employers, representing executives, developing plans and designing plan work, handling disputes, going to court on cases in federal court on benefits issues. All of that was an opportunity that I relished being in, and have been in it. Most important thing was, it's a field that you can't just pick up very easily. It's kind of a complex area of law, and so therefore there's a lot of ramp up time to get into it. So you have to really kind of immerse yourself and devote yourself to learn how this field works, all the intricacies of it. And that takes time. It doesn't happen right away. But once you develop that, you can develop an expertise that is, as I mentioned before, sought after by clients, by other firms that need that kind of expertise in it, by companies if you want to be an in-house counsel and devote yourself to that practice and in their employee benefits department and the like. So that's something that I think is important. An underlying consideration here is no matter what you do, I'm kind of describing what my career progression was, but no matter what area you go into, I think it's important to have that commitment to try to be the best that you can be in it. I mean, if you don't have a passion for it, if it's something that is just a job, so to speak, then it's attaining the kind of level of success that you really may want to attain is going to be that much more difficult. So you want to devote yourself to it. You want to commit to being the best that you can be. And over the years, after I acquired a solid knowledge, I felt comfortable in this particular field. I did a lot of writing, did a lot of speaking. I still do a lot of writing and speaking and presentations, not just from the perspective of the kind of marketing that any kind of professional needs to do these days, to meet with new clients and to acquire new relationships, but also to enhance your own expertise, to develop your own expertise. Because when you're in front of a group of 100 people or 150 people and you're giving a presentation and they have the opportunity to ask you questions, you better really know your subject matter inside and out. Otherwise, it could be kind of an unsuccessful endeavor. So you want to do the best that you possibly can, putting your best foot forward. So that's something that I think is important to know, is always never stop learning, always keep working in the area, have a passion for it, keep that fire burning for that passion, that drive that you have, and do the best that you can to become the best that you possibly can. And over the years, I eventually had received an invitation to be in this academy for attorneys that are in my practice field. And it's called the American College of Employee Benefits Counsel, kind of a long-winded description, but it's really an academy where, unlike some other professional recognitions where they may be recognizing you for an area of accomplishment, if you sign up and submit the application, then you become part of the group. Here it's much more of a prestigious award because it's peer vetted. You're invited into the group. It's by invitation only, and frankly, you have to have done enough in the field to come to the attention of those attorneys, those peers of yours that are at the top of their game, that are at the very top of the field. And they recognize that you have a level of accomplishment and you have a reputation for the kind of service you provide to your clients that has merited that kind of recognition to be invited into the academy. So I'm now in this academy. I have been since 2006, and currently am on the board of governors, which is the governing board for this particular college. So I have always tried to do the best that I can to continue to achieve, to continue to learn. The kind of education that I received at Marian, coming in and being maybe the one of the first members of my family to have gone to college, uh, not really knowing what to expect, not really having much in the way of uh, family contacts or friends who could tell me about the college experience. Coming in, I found and Marian to be an extremely supporting environment, and one where they will challenge you, and I could tell you many stories about that, but they will challenge you academically, what have you, but you're given the opportunity to recognize your own abilities, to say, well, okay, can I do this? Well, yes, everything that I've experienced so far at the college or now at the university has led me to believe that I really belong here and I can do these. I could succeed here. And you can learn from your professors, from your fellow students, uh, what it takes to succeed in an academic environment. And that kind of base uh, foundation that I acquired at Marian on the love of learning, so to speak, uh, kind of has carried me through all of what I've described to you already as far as my subsequent educational experience in law school and even in postgraduate law school, as well as in my professional life, continuing to learn, continuing to strive to be the best that I can. So that's my story as to how I went from my first day at Marian to where I'm at today. So I still feel challenges. I know that there's a lot more out there that I can learn. And after 30 plus years in practice, I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing the learning, and I enjoy representing the clients that I do. It's a pleasure. If you don't have a but it's a field not for everybody. So if you don't have that kind of passion for it, it's best to stop and rethink what you want to do, maybe switch gears and do something else that you have a passion for.
I think the switching gears
I
piece.
don't, people may think that, oh, well, you went into law for, maybe because you wanted to have a good living. Well, everybody wants to earn a good living. But if your motivation for being in a particular field, no matter how lucrative or whatever it might be, is just on just solely on earning a living and how much of a living you can earn, which is an important consideration. But if that's your only consideration, I don't, and it's not because you love what you're doing, that you love getting up in the morning and starting the day because it might present some new challenges to you, or you might learn something new today, and it's going to make you better at what you do. If you don't have that inside of you each and every day, I don't think that it's going to work as well.
It typically never does.
Yeah, so that's my long-winded answer to your first question.
Oh no, you're fine. There were so many little nuggets of great information in there. The lifelong learning, being able to pivot, always being on top of your game, and so it was fantastic. Thank you.
Sure.
Our next question is, what do you wish that you would have known in the career planning that you may have had, or what advice do you have for somebody who is just starting out?
At what level? When they're still in college or university?
Yeah. So a student at Marian University. They're still at Marian. They're not sure. Law might be. They may be interested in law.
My experience might be a little bit different than what the current students might have, because when I was at Marian, and it was college, I don't recall them having any kind of a pre-law program. So whatever knowledge about the field of law, whatever that field might consist of, it was something that I had to investigate on my own and learn from, the friends that I had that were going to law school at IUPUI, some books that I was reading, some inquiries that I was making back home, etc. The history degree was about the best kind of degree that would I could have as far as a liberal arts degree to enter into law school. Now I think that there's a variety of pre-law programs that you could investigate and learn early on. Truly now this is something that you would experience before going to law school to learn, is this a field that I would really be interested in long term or not. And so my answer to your question, as I understand it, is based upon just what I had as an experience, is never be hesitant about asking questions to people. They might have an answer for you, they may not, but always being inquisitive and asking questions about what it is that you want to know. Yes, there's books out there, and you should read up on things. With the internet these days, there's a vast amount of information that is probably at your fingertips with just a Google search. But you have to take the initiative, and that's what I think I did when I was in college, is take the initiative to start doing the career planning. And your answer, what field you ultimately go into may change over time. You don't have to say, well, I need to know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm a freshman or sophomore in the university, and I'm expected to have my career for the rest of my life planned. That's not really the point. The point is to start thinking about it, start investigating. You may be, as you said, Brandy, switching gears, but you don't want to graduate and you're in your cap and gown, you get your diploma, you have the well-deserved recognition for the accomplishment and the celebration and the party, and then the next day say, okay, well now what do I do? Now what? You should have some kind of a plan, however tentative it may be. It may change, but I think it's important to do the kind of planning while you're still in college. And it's easy to put off because I know from my experience at Marion, and I had a very positive, enjoyable experience there. You could get kind of just wrapped up in kind of like what I call the ivory tower bubble, and really not pay attention to the real world out there. But it's waiting for you, and it will wait for you. And the best thing for you to do to meet it is to start planning on your strategy, on what you want to do. And I think the best thing for you to do is to ask a lot of questions, meet as many people who may be in the field that you might be interested in going into, and not hesitating to sit down and talk to them and ask them, do you have a few minutes? Hopefully you could do this in person rather than by phone or over the internet, having that face-to-face. There's a lot of people out there who would be kind of, I don't know if the right word would be honored, but would be more than happy to sit down with you, because you've taken an interest in them and in their field. And once you start asking them about what they do and why they do it, like I'm doing today, of course they're going to start spieling off and talking to you about their experience, and they will provide you with some insights into that field that's going to help you determine whether or not it's something that you're still interested in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, ask a lot of questions, investigate, take the initiative.
Those are perfect. And that's exactly, hopefully, what we are instilling in our current students too, to do. The other chats that I've had have all talked about getting out there, meeting people, don't be afraid to ask. And so hopefully as students listen to this and listen to all the others, it's very evident that they need to start building their network.
Yeah, that's another, the way I said it was probably a roundabout way, but that's exactly the point. Fully agree with it.
Mm-hmm. So the next question, we kind of talked about a little bit, but if students could do just one thing right now, a current Marian student that would benefit their career, what should it be?
Start doing some what I call introspection, but start thinking truly about, okay, what kind of a what is it that I like to do? What kind of things do I enjoy? Am I more of a outdoor person? Do you think I like working at a desk or in an office? What suits me? What do I like? Meeting a lot of people? Do I like working alone? Am I really a team player? I like working with a lot of people. Do I like to lead a group? Am I creative? Do I like to come up with new ideas and try to implement them? Or would I rather just follow, along and in a setting that is that has a lot of its own structure and follow that kind of structure? Or am I more of an unstructured kind of personality? It's more of a kind of looking at yourself and determining what kind of a person you are as far as personality, likes and dislikes, not necessarily likes and dislikes about a specific career direction, but just traits, features. What makes you comfortable? What makes you happy? What kind of things, what kind of activities do you enjoy? Other than maybe partying and that sort of thing, of course. As a college student, you certainly want to enjoy that. But what kind of things do you want to enjoy? And if you can't really answer that like readily, then and maybe you can't because you're still a young person and discovering a lot about yourself, then what you want to do is you want to start getting involved in different activities that will help you discover that, like your own identity, your own self-knowledge. And that's where all these curricular activities that are offered at school become so important. They may be helpful as a resume builder if you want to go on to graduate school or professional school, but the extracurricular activities, don't forget, are activities that are going to help you meet other people, other kids, other students, and what have you, and it's going to help you develop a greater knowledge of yourself, what you like and what you don't like. And that self-knowledge is going to be so important for you to build upon and say, okay, based upon what I know about myself and what I like, my likes and dislikes, it's going to help me better focus on and start narrowing the categories, the kind of jobs that I might be interested in going into after I'm done with my educational career. What kind of work would suit me, and not necessarily a specific job or a specific field per se, but in a broad sense, a broader category of being in the business world. What kind of structure would I want? Would I want to work in a large company setting, or am I more comfortable working in a small company setting where maybe I have more autonomy, maybe I have more control, maybe some leadership opportunities would come up soon. There's an awful lot that you could think about based upon your own self-awareness of who you are, as far as in broad terms, what kind of a career planning I could engage in. And then once you start doing that and you say, well, yeah, I think I'd like to be in the business world, so maybe I should start looking at things like maybe a accounting or a pre-law or a business degree, that sort of thing, and start focusing on that, as opposed to the humanities, focusing on philosophy or history, or the arts or that sort of thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you're going in that direction, then you might want to also consider, well, if I want to go into that field, what am I going to do? Am I going to be writing? Am I going to be teaching? Would a graduate degree in that particular field be helpful for my future career? And go that route. But to answer your question, the self-awareness is going to help you start focusing on the broad categories of your various career options. And then once you start looking at those career options, those broad categories of career options, then you can start asking those questions to people who are in specific fields within that broad category of career options, and start talking to them about their likes and dislikes. What's that field like? Maybe you want to you say, well, I want to be into some kind of a professional service environment. Well, do you like doing accounting? Do you like doing tax? Do you like doing law? Do you like, doing medicine? What is it that you might want to do? Well, I'm not sure. Start talking to people in those fields.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that while you're still in college, while you're still in university.
And I would argue that the self-awareness piece is critical now now while they're in college, but also it will sustain you throughout. Like, you should be constantly asking yourself these things as you level up and go back to college or go on to your next big thing, always kind of taking into consideration, okay, what is it about me? What do I need? What am I missing? What do I need to do? I've been doing a lot of research on the design thinking and how that works in career development, and self-awareness is that very first stepping stone.
Right. And I think people cannot be misled to believe that, well, gee, I'm going to have to hurry up and do all of this. The pressure is on because by the time I graduate, I better have some really, firm plans in mind as to what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's not the point. The point is that you start the process, and it's going to, like, you may be changing gears, but that's good, because what you want to do is you want to start getting into an area where you feel like you're going to be most comfortable. You don't want to graduate and say, I think I want to do this, not really knowing much about it, not having made any inquiries, not really having done that self-awareness phase to even know what might be liked or disliked, and then get into something and spend time after graduation and ultimately decide, no, I've been in this field now for several years, and to me it's a dead end. It's not something that I like. And it's better to do the planning now while you're still in school, and that planning is a process that's going to take you beyond graduation. So I don't want to mislead anybody to think that they have to have a firm career plan on the day that they graduate, but they should have some kind of a tentative plan of what they want to do after they graduate, so that they could continue to pursue that planning process after they get their degree. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So that is all the questions, and I'm going to ask you our bonus question, which is, what has been the toughest interview question that you have ever gotten in an interview, or one that you've like to ask when you're interviewing?
Well, there's a lot of trick questions out there, and I'm not particularly a fan of those kind of questions, but some of the I think some of the most important questions that I've been asked in interviews are questions that relate to who I am as a person. It's not necessarily, what my experience is. All of that stuff is written on a resume, and they could ask you questions about that too, of course. But some of the toughest questions are questions that are testing your own self-awareness, your own of who you are. Are you a team player? What do you like to? I hate these cliches, but you're asked, do you like to think out of the box? And if you do, give me an example of that and that sort of thing. I don't like the cliches, but the point is that they want to know more about whether you're a good fit for their particular job. And you have to walk into an interview, and you may not anticipate every question that's going to be asked of you. But if you go to enough interviews, you have a pretty good idea of the kind of routine questions you're going to run across. And if you know what the objective is for them to, you're already established on paper that you have certain qualifications, otherwise they wouldn't have called you for the interview. But if you can establish why you're a good fit, why you think that you would work well in this particular company from the perspective of promoting the company's values, because those values are the same as your internal values, or working well with other people because you're an extrovert and you enjoy working as part of a team, and that's what this particular job calls for. You have to be honest. I'm not telling you to just mouth words, but if that's what the job is calling for, and that's not something that you're comfortable with, then you shouldn't be there at the interview. You should kind of terminate the interview and say, thank you for your time. I think I will need to continue to look. But if it's something that you know that all of those attributes of what's required for you to succeed there are personal attributes, personality traits, features that you have, that's part of you, who you are, then you have to convey that. And that could be a challenge because you only have so much time given in an interview to connect with the interviewer and convey why you think you might be the best person for the position. But the challenge is conveying why you're a good fit when those questions come up, and doing so in a succinct manner that's convincing the person that you're not just mouthing words, but giving them real life examples of why what you're telling them about being a team player, for example, you're aware of, because when you were in college, you had this experience and it showed that you enjoyed being part of this particular group or club and had led them to do so, so well to achieve certain projects and goals. If you can show by your real life concrete examples why you're a good fit, I think that's going to be good. That's a challenge. That's probably the most challenging kind of question that I have been asked, because it requires you to not only know a lot about the position and what it's called for, but also you have to be able to convey with real life examples why those particular requirements, you meet those requirements by the kind of person who you are, the kind of traits, character traits, the features, values, aspirations that you have, and do it in the context of a formal, to some degree, a formal interview setting where you may have a meeting for 20 minutes or a half hour at most. So they're not necessarily bad questions. They're probably the most challenging questions that could be asked, or the most important questions in my view, because it's really going to ferret out whether you're a good fit for the job or not. You may have the paper credentials, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to succeed at it. If you don't like the way the company culture, you don't like the way the things are done there, and it's your obligation to learn that stuff as much as you possibly can, before you decide to accept the job if it's offered to you. So the questions that I don't like are these contrived questions like, where are you going to be in 5 years? You know, hopefully alive and healthy and and happy, and maybe I'll be at the same job. Maybe I'll have a promotion, or maybe I'll be somewhere else. But you know, who knows? I mean, you could plan. You could tell them what your plans are for the future, or your career path, what you want to do. But there's so much that there's so much that goes into that kind of a question. You really don't know what the other person who's asking it is seeking, and as a quote satisfactory answer. So you try to be as honest on those kind of questions as you possibly can, but I don't think they necessarily convey an awful lot of information that's helpful.
I would agree.
I think the kind of questions that convey a lot of that's helpful is what I said is you know, tell me a little bit about yourself and what kind of person you are, and why you think this job would be a good fit for you. That's an important question.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's where the challenges come in for you to be convincing in your response. So I hope I answered your question.
Mm-hmm. You did. Yes, you did. And it has been a wonderful conversation. We appreciate your time and your willingness to sit down with us and glean some of this wonderful wisdom that you have imparted on us in this conversation. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of Marian University, we appreciate you as well.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. And I just wanted to add, Brandy, I think you're doing a great service and having these interviews available to students. And if there's anyone who wants to contact me directly to ask questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them, to talk to them. If they want to do a Zoom, or they just want to do a phone call or an email or whatever, I hope that you have my contact information there.
Yep.
And if a student makes an inquiry with you, how do I get a hold of Dan? Feel free to tell them.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you very much, and you too. Take care, Brandon. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, we're done recording. So that was easy, right?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, once you get